Hi guys, much has changed since the last time that we've spoken. So I did the video about why do I care about having a Les Paul, and then I got a Les Paul, an Epiphone Les Paul. I sold the share gold that I had, the Provocateur, for 300 quid, which was such a bad price to sell. But I only did it because there was a guy selling an Epiphone Les Paul 59 for 300 quid. So on the same day I sold one, got the cash, traveled to the next guy, bought the Epiphone Les Paul with the case. I had the Loxley Strat for sale and the Trickshot for sale, the Reverend Trickshot. Because I was on that, I'm gonna have a Les Paul, I'm gonna have a Fender Strat, I'm gonna have a Fender Telecaster, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on bolt-on neck guitars because I have this bias that, although they might be really well done, or bolt-on guitars can be really well done, I personally don't think that the design of the Telecaster and the Strat are the end-all be-all of craftsmanship and deserve the prices that are paid, especially for the older stuff where wood wasn't that expensive to buy and to take care of. So that was the plan. However, a guy that I've traded, if you remember the Rapswood guitar, I traded for a Gordon Smith single cut. He suggested to trade my Loxley Strat for a Gordon Smith that he had. He's the Gordon Smith master, and some cash. And cash is cash. So I took the Gordon Smith, and then I sold that Gordon Smith to Scotland, to a lovely guy, and I put the Les Paul for sale and sold the Epiphone Les Paul to a guy in Solihull. Lovely guy as well. When the guitar got there, the neck pickup wasn't working. I was like panicking and sweating, like, what have I done? What's happened? Because I packed it really well. I don't know what went wrong, but he had a check and it's something in the wire, so something must have happened there. In the meantime, I tried a proper Gibson Les Paul, a Tom Murphy from the 90s. Not a Murphy Labs, a Tom Murphy guitar. And that completely changed my perception of guitars. Hi guys, this is Editing Raphael. What I meant to say here was that the only guitars that I had played before that I actually owned that felt like that Gibson, that Tom Murphy, that was really well made, were an Eastman. So that's why I go on now about Eastmans, if it makes sense. I had an Eastman before, okay? I sold it. I wasn't really comfortable. I think it was the fat cats with the screws in the middle. They really didn't work for me visually, and the headstock was a bit too wide, and there was something with that guitar in particular that I wasn't happy about it. But I saw that black semi-hollow there, and I bought it because it was for $875, which is a really good price for a T486 in a limited edition black. I didn't really care for the limited edition bit, but it is, I like it. And it's the same color as this one, it's like twins now. So I bought that one, right? And then I sold those two, and then I had that one, the Trickshot, and that other semi-hollow, the Maybach. The Trickshot is a really nice guitar, and let's see if I'm not gonna regret it. It's a nice guitar, okay? And maybe if I had an original project like I spoke with Jim, it would have done me wonders, but I don't. And it wasn't the Telecaster sound, and it wasn't the humbucker sound of a Les Paul, and it's like one of these segments in between guitars that I couldn't really place in my head what it was. And so I was messaging or emailing stores in the UK that had pre-owned instruments for sale to part exchange it, because I imagine that on a sale, on a pre-owned, there might be a bit more margin there. So I emailed Richstone for a Maybach T54 and Sound Effects. So Richstone is in Sheffield and Sound Effects is in Ormskirk. Ormskirk is an hour from me in Blackpool. So on Monday I ended earlier and I went to part exchange for more money. Part exchange is always made up money, but they're going to give me supposedly more money than the 400 that I paid for it. So I went there and I was going to get an Eastman SB59 in gold burst. Lovely, like sort of honey burst color. And I got there, and on the way I remember, they have also an SB59 in sunburst. You know which one I brought home. It wasn't the gold burst. And the reason why was because the gold burst had dings. They said excellent condition. and then I picked it up and had a little ding on the neck, which is a terrible place to have a ding. And then there's a couple other around the edges of the bottom of the guitar. If it was a relic, maybe if it was the varnish, I wouldn't have minded it. But since it had locking tuners installed, and it had the selector switch, the ring in itself changed. I don't know if it was just a different model, a slightly newer model, but I just couldn't. I was like, oh, if they had reduced the price, so instead of what I had to pay, if I had to pay less, much less, because what I told them was, and I don't like haggling for just shamelessly. What I told them was, you have two Eastman SB59s. One has dings, one don't. I'll take the one without, unless you make me rethink this decision. And the guy, which fair enough, said, if you think that things are going to be a problem, I wouldn't suggest that you take it. Which, fair enough. It's their decision, it's fine. Maybe it's even better, because now I have a guitar that is completely stock, no dings, no marks, looks beautiful. From the top, the first time that I saw it on a stand, the flame doesn't really seem matched, but when looking at it like this, it really is a really beautiful guitar. And also in my mind, so I have the acoustic Eastman, now I have the semi-hollow Eastman, and I have the solid body SB59, which it's not a Les Paul shape because it doesn't have the horn properly done. But on the other hand, both Eastmans, all the Eastmans that I have, and probably you can hear the feedback from the guitars, have slightly different takes from the original designs that are inspired. So I've always been a sucker for having like a collection. So maybe my collection is just going to be Eastmans. I'm going to have then the P91, and I'm going to wait for them to do a Tele and the Strat, and I'm going to be a happy Eastman owner. Because they're really quality guitars, and they feel like proper instruments, like the Gibson that I really felt, and that was a custom shop. I played the Gibson Classic, which was around the same amount of money, with a broken headstock, and it felt more satin, which is fine, but it's not that luthier made special guitar like this one made. I think that's why people keep comparing Eastmans to custom shops instead of normal production guitars. So now I have the classical guitar, the acoustic guitar, the semi-hollow pitback that was my first electric guitar that my auntie gave me, the bass, the silent body nylon string, which I use for the Portuguese and Brazilian songs. And then I have this SB59, so the Les Paul type, and the semi-hollow type. Now I'm missing dearly single coils. It's like, I need single coils in my life. But I don't. I don't need single coils in my life. Yesterday I took that to the pitback because it is the one with the most dings. The other ones don't have dings. These ones don't have dings. That one already has dings from being my first guitar. So that's the one that I took to the open mic, and it was really good. And it sounded great, just through the amp. I didn't take the helix, just guitar into the amp, playing songs, great fun. So that was the update that I wanted to give you. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for everyone that watched the podcast with Jim. And I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.